Good afternoon, college football fans. Welcome to the First and Long YouTube channel. I'm your host today, Marcus. Mason is out on the road. He is out on vacation in Scotland, having a good old time out there. Poorly timed a vacation, but he is taking a vacation nonetheless, and I'm happy that he's able to do that. But more so, I'm happy that you're here with us. And here in the U.S., we're gearing up for some college football, baby. It's week one. It's Labor Day weekend, and that can mean only one thing. We've got 5 days straight of football, and I know that you are excited about that, as excited as I am. This is going to be a very, very interesting college football season, and lots of questions that we're waiting to get answered. And if you're just seeing one of our videos for the first time, I hope you'll subscribe and come watch college football with us throughout the year. We've been watching football for a long time. We haven't been doing this channel for a long time, so we're trying to get the word out that we've got college football news, reactions, predictions, analysis, all that good stuff. And it wouldn't be worth it to do it all if we didn't have all you fans to come and comment and be involved in the shows. We've got live shows that are going to be going on every week throughout the college football season, and we're going to be able to put a link out there in the chat, and you're going to be able to go there and join the show live and tell us how we're wrong and tell us about your team, and let's converse about all the matchups. And I can't wait to do that with everybody this year. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when we go live, and give us a holler and let us know how we're doing and how your team's doing, and give us your takes on all these matchups, because there's going to be a lot of indifference between fan to fan and show to show. So we're super excited to go through all that. Today's segment is my best bets, and we're going to try to do this on Fridays typically. This week there's obviously Thursday games, Friday games, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I'm going to go through the slate for week one, and I'm going to give you my best bets. And what I want to do is I want to keep track of this throughout the year so that we can see how we're doing, track our results. And it's either going to be bad or it's going to be good, or maybe we're fiddling around at 500. Who knows? But we're going to go through that journey together, and I hope that you'll join us to see how that goes. Each and every Friday, we're going to do this at noon. Today is obviously Thursday. I'm going to drop it on Thursday at noon, considering we have the Florida at Utah game on Thursday, and I've got one of my best bets on that game. So we've got that coming up. Wanted to get to a couple of newsworthy items that I felt were newsworthy. Kyle McCord is named the starting quarterback at Ohio State. Ryan Day had a press conference the other day and felt the need to name him quarterback one for the game going into Indiana week one. This came after kind of like a trend. Kirby Smart named his starter in Carson Beck, and we saw a few other teams rattle off their starters, Auburn, Arizona State. There was a few others that kind of rattled off their starters immediately following that. And Kyle McCord has been tapped as the QB1 for the Buckeyes this year. Keeping on the same frame of thought as quarterbacks, Cam Rising, we don't know about. We don't know about Cam Rising. Still trying to figure out if he's going to be able to go or not. They released a depth chart, and he was listed as the QB1. Doesn't mean anything in college football. This isn't the NFL where you've got an injured list that you have to report injured players to or anything like that. So with that being said, let's get into my best bets for week one. I'm going to get this pulled up so we can all take a look together here. And excuse me while I enjoy a cold one. And if that's your sort of thing, I encourage you to have a cold one with me. And again, want to tell you thanks for joining me. And Just so excited for football. I can't wait. We're just a few hours away. Um, so let's go through these games. I've got it scrolled down here where I was peeking ahead. Um, so this is Thursday, 31st of August. The games start at 7:05. You got a couple of games. But the 8:05 games are the ones I'm interested in. 8:05 p.m. Just for mentioning purposes, we got Nebraska at Minnesota. Minnesota is a 7-point favorite there. Got one of those awkward Week 1 Big Ten matchups. It's kind of interesting there. Don't have a play on that. Just wanted to mention it. But the second game at 8:05 is the Florida at Utah game. I am making a couple of plays on this game. And first I'm going to dissect these teams just a little bit, and we'll kind of go, kind of get into this and ease into it. So Cam Rising, we don't know if he's playing or not. This is a quarterback that led this team to a couple of Pac-12 championships in a row, going for number 3. And he's a very physical specimen. Everybody's seen the hit from last year where his helmet goes flying and hair goes flying all over the place. I mean, this guy's really, really exciting to watch, but he knows how to command this offense. He's been doing it for quite a while, and we don't know if he's going to be able to go. And if he does go, I seriously doubt that he's going to be 100%. And whenever you're a running quarterback, being 95% is really not a good thing. You've got to be able to trust the extremity that has been injured, and a knee that he blew out is not something that I feel like you're going to be able to trust. So I'm not buying into 100% Cam Rising for sure, and I'm not so sure he's even going to play. So you've got a couple of backups there that they feel good about, freshmen coming in, and you got a guy that had played a little bit last year when Cam got hurt there in the Rose Bowl. So with that being said, I think that they're going to be trying to run the ball, and I think Florida is going to try to do the same thing. These are two teams that I think will be very content on playing some smash mouth football, run the ball, stop the run. I think that'll be the top two concerns for each of these teams in this game. Florida comes in with 3 really good running backs, Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne. Those are a couple of really good guys. And then Cam Carroll comes in from Tulane, who was a really good rusher for the Wave last year. I'm looking for Florida to pick up where they left off last year, and that is running the football. And I know they had a running quarterback last year that was a freakazoid athlete, and he was a very gifted runner. There's no doubt about that. I think that Florida picks right up where they left off and probably going to have a pretty daggone good rushing attack. They do lose a lot on the offensive line, and it concerns me a bit. But the way that Billy Napier's teams have been built in the past, I think that this is exactly the type of game that they're going to want to get into. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So my first play on the game is the over-under at 44. And this is already a low over-under, right? This is closer to like NFL numbers, and that's the kind of final score I think we're going to have here. I think the final score is going to be 20-17 Utah. And I think it'll be, like I said, a slobber knocker, smash mouth style football game. And I think you're going to see some really physical lines of scrimmage play. And so with all that being said, I'm taking the under there, and that's a -110 play. And then I'm going to take Florida and the +4.5. I think Florida can keep it within 4.5 here, 4 or under, that is. So if you want to win this bet, you've got to go 4 or under because they've got the hook there. There's no push. If you're somebody who feels really compelled and really convinced that Florida's going to win this game, they're +170 on the money line. So you've got some really good numbers there. And there's a reason they're really good. So buyer beware. I'm not doing it, but I will take Florida and the points to cover there and Utah to win the game by less than 4 points. Moving on down the line, one that I'm going to mention that I don't have a play on, but one that I'm interested to look at, 7:35 p.m. Louisville and Georgia Tech. This is being played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Louisville is a 7.5-point favorite. Jeff Brom takes over at Louisville. Brent Key, this is his second year, I believe, at Georgia Tech. And there's been a lot of movement in and out of Georgia Tech. They've lost some good players, gained some good players, got a new offensive coordinator in Buster Faulkner that came from the University of Georgia and brought a couple players with him, Dominic Blaylock and Brett Sithers, that's tight end, wide receiver and tight end there. A couple of really good players, honestly, that just had trouble staying on the field due to the depth that Georgia had. So I'm interested to see those guys, and you got Haynes King that's going to be starting at quarterback. What will they be able to do on offense? That's going to be a big question to me. And I think it's possible with those weapons. I feel like it's possible to maybe mash the over on this 48.5 because I feel like Louisville's going to be able to move the ball as well. I am not 100% on this, and I'm not betting this, so take it with a grain of salt. But if I was going to, I think I'd play the over there. Going to be interesting to see what Jeff Brom and the Louisville Cardinals are going to look like this year. My second play is going to be on the 11:05 p.m., and I'm going to have to stay up late on Friday to watch this one. These are Friday games that we're talking about here. I really liked what I saw from Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors, whenever they played Vandy. I think Vandy is a respectable team, and by respectable, I mean I feel like they're going to overplay their expectations, at least as far as over-under win totals this year. Vegas had them at a 3.5. I think Vandy is a 4 or 5 win team this year. 5 would be stretching it. I don't think they're going bowling or anything like that. But with all that being said, Vandy absolutely crushed Hawaii last year. I mean, just absolutely annihilated them. So Hawaii kept it about 10 points under what the spread was last week and covered. I'm looking for them to cover here again. I think that they'll easily cover, and I actually think that Hawaii's going to win this game outright. They are plus 145 on the money line. Vegas is telling me there's a chance. I like Hawaii. I've got a gut feeling here. Stanford hasn't been good for quite a while. I think it's very possible that Stanford goes out to Hawaii and gets humiliated by the Rainbow Warriors. And for some reason, the ACC wants to add Stanford. I don't even get it. But maybe Hawaii will deter them from doing that. But I'm taking Hawaii on the money line there at plus 145. Really good number and something I got a good feeling about. Moving on into Saturday, we'll kind of scroll through these games here as I take a sip of my cold beverage. That's good. Colorado at TCU. This is one that I am super excited to see. Very, 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 very excited. So TCU is a 20.5-point favorite. And spoiler alert, I've got to play on this one. And it's going to be TCU in that 20.5. I feel like TCU's done a good job replacing some of these guys that they lost last year. They lost about 150 receptions and about 2,000 yards receiving from last year in Johnston, Barber, and Davis. But you got JoJo Earl coming in from Bama, John Paul Richardson from Oklahoma State, Jalen Robinson from Ole Miss, Dylan Wright from Minnesota. I mean, these are all wide receivers. And those first two guys I named, they are going to have to step up. There's really no X and Z outside wide receivers that are dominant, that we've known to be dominant. It doesn't mean they can't be. The offensive line lost 3 starters from last year. You get a couple guys back at offensive tackle. Tommy Brockermeyer comes in from Alabama as an offensive tackle. One of these guys, one of these 3 really good tackles is probably going to rotate in and play some guard. I'm hoping for TCU's sake that somebody's going to step up at the interior offensive line position. That's probably their biggest question on offense, in my opinion. And it can be a big question. I mean, that's obviously 3 positions that are very key and vital to the success of your football team and making space so that you can run the football. So, that's going to be interesting. You got Willis Patrick coming in at interior offensive line. Colton Deary coming in from Maryland. You really needed more depth at interior offensive line, but I think Sonny Dice is going to be able to spread the love around and figure out a way to make it work. And that running back room, yeah, you lose Miller, but Bailey's back. Trent Battle is back. Trey Sanders comes in from Bama. He had some injuries from a car accident that was really bad, but they said that, and by they I mean TCU writers and things like that. They say that Trey Sanders is absolutely just a Hulk of a dude, just put together like you wouldn't believe. It's going to be interesting to see him. I'm interested to see how those legs hold up, see if he can, how he's getting up to speed, how he's accelerating, things like that, because he had some lower extremity injuries from that car crash. So that's a kind of a question mark. And I think if Trey Sanders can play well, I think that this can be a big coup for this offense. 4-star freshman Cameron Cook is also coming in. That's going to be somebody that I think that they're pretty high on, but he is a freshman. But I think freshmen can definitely contribute at running back. At linebacker, you lost D. Winters. Hodge is back at interior offensive line. Shad Banks heads into his junior season starting at outside linebacker. Jonathan Bax is a freshman that looks really good. So I think linebacker should be pretty good. And I think cornerback will probably step up. Everybody's back except for one player in that secondary between the cornerback and safety position. So you really only got one spot that you had to figure out. And I feel really good about TCU. So with all that being said, I think they're probably going to cover this pretty easily. The 20.5 seems like Vegas is probably trying to bait in some of these casual college football fans that don't understand what Colorado's up against. And while Colorado has definitely improved, I'm not going to say that the roster is not better than what it was last year, because it definitely is. But Cormani McClain, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders, it's going to take more than those three guys to transform a team. Football in general, but especially college football, is such a team sport. I mean, yeah, you can have a Heisman quarterback or a Heisman wide receiver, and it definitely changes the game. You can have game records on defense, but overall, to come in and beat a team unit like TCU, or in this case, cover the spread, I just don't think Colorado's going to have it in them. Excuse me, not during the first week. I'm very interested to see. I cannot wait to see what Shedeur Sanders is, with all this up against better competition, I guess I should say. I'm super interested to see that. The over-under is 63.5. They're obviously thinking there's going to be some points scored. I'm just wondering how Colorado is going to score, but maybe Travis Hunter just runs past everybody, and maybe that's a possibility. But they're a plus 705 on the money line, and TCU's a minus 1,010. So I think that kind of tells you the story. You'd have to bet $1,010 on TCU to win $100, to pick them on the money line. So Vegas isn't thinking it's going to be a very close game, and I don't think so either. I think TCU wins by 28 and easily covers this spread. Moving on down the line here as I get another sip of my cold beverage. Virginia and Tennessee. I know everybody's excited to see Joe Milton. They're a 28-point favorite. I think that number's pretty good. Probably the over-under right here at 56 I would play. I think it'll probably be over that. Tennessee probably have 56 on their own, and I don't think they'll keep Virginia off the board completely. So if they did, that would be very exciting for Tennessee fans, no doubt. No doubt. We'll keep an eye on that game for sure. As we said, Ohio State, Indiana. Ohio State's 30-point favorite in the road game. They're going to cream them, so nothing much to talk about there. Boise State and Washington, this is going to be a good game right here. And this is at the 3:35 time on Saturday. That's a good game right there. I'm interested to see that. I want to see how Washington holds out holds up without Cam Smith at running back, who is going to be their workhorse. We'll get a chance to see the Auburn Fighting Hugh Freezes as they're a 35-point favorite over Fumachan and the UMass, whatever the hell their mascot is, some kind of cavalryman or Union soldier or something. Let's see here. That's about it for that slate. North Carolina, South Carolina. So this is the 7:35 game. This is the best game of Saturday. I think there's little doubt about that. What do you think? What do you folks think about this game? I think that this is. I'm going to pull this up so you can get me out of the way. I feel like I've gone back and forth on this game. I really have. The more I look into South Carolina, the more things that I like. I like some of the players that they brought in. They lost a lot in the transfer portal. They lost a lot of playmakers. But they gained some. They definitely gained some. So let's talk about that for just a second. So we'll start off with North Carolina and kind of take a quick look at what North Carolina is losing and what they're bringing back and kind of how I'm feeling about them. So last year I predicted them. First of all, I've got them in my 23rd spot in my top 25. And me and Mason each had our own top 25. So he had them in his top 25 too, I believe. I can't remember what number. You can go check out that video and see in our video log. But last year for North Carolina, the wheels just fell off at the end. I mean, they had a historically bad defense and a pretty daggum good offense that was honestly just inconsistent. Chip Lindsey takes over at O coordinator, Randy Clements at the O line. And they're going to want to run the ball more. They got 5 really good running backs. Excuse me. They have lots of returning experience at offensive line. Left tackle is the only place that I can see that maybe it could be a little bit of an issue. Just needed one person to step up. The other 4 spots were already figured out really before spring or fall. So I think that's a really good sign for the offense. It's always great to be able to move people whenever you need to move people, and it makes it a lot easier to win games whenever you can do such on offense or defense. Drake May is obviously back. This is a top 5 player in college football. I can't wait to see how he progresses. This guy is really, really good. He's a killer quarterback and led this team in rushing last year. So I think you're going to see a steady dose of that. I think they probably want to keep him out of harm's way, though, and I think they'll probably use the running backs a little bit more this year, but we'll just have to see. At wide receiver, Josh Downs is gone. That's a big loss, but Devontae Walker comes in from Kent State, and Nate McCollum, I can't talk, is in from Georgia Tech. This was a good wide receiver for the Yellow Jackets last year. Definitely a really good athlete, and I do expect him to be able to help fill the void that Josh Downs is going to leave. Those 2 guys, Devontae Walker was really good at Kent State. Kent State was a good team last year that has been completely blown up by the transfer portal and coaching hires. And there ain't not hardly one person on that team that was there last year that had that really good year. It's unbelievable. All 3 tight ends are back for North Carolina, and we talked about the offensive line. The defensive line and linebacker are where I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about North Carolina. Gene Chizik ran a bunch of players off. They had like 6 defensive starters that transferred out from last year. That's a large number. It's alarming. It's hard to find that many quality replacements in the transfer portal, especially when you're the North Carolina Tar Heels. So I'm questioning their defense for sure, and rightfully so after a historically bad defense last year. Moving on over to South Carolina, let's talk about them for a second. So you got Spencer Rattler back at quarterback. He's on the QB1 spot, and this was last year was a tale of two quarterbacks for this guy. I mean, the first few weeks of the year, it looks like he'd never held a football in his hand before. Um, and then as the year went on, he went on to embarrass some people, namely Tennessee and Clemson. It was really a sight to be seen what happened last year, and I mean, had me hollering from my couch. That really energized everybody seeing Spencer Rattler be able to be that successful after all the doubters, and it was just nice to see somebody, um, like him, who I feel like was humbled a lot, and then was able to find some success, and that was definitely a magical college football moment last year. Whenever they put up 63 on the Vols, it was a sight to behold, no doubt. Um, you've got you got a couple of offensive tackles transferring in. Jalen Nichols was going to be a starter at tackle and was hurt in the spring game, and he's going to be out the whole year. So 3 out of your 5 starters were gone. You lost what was supposed to be one of your starters. So I'm just expecting the offensive line to struggle early on, and that's going to make it really tough for the Gamecocks. You lose Marshawn Lloyd to USC. We saw him play a little bit last week. He was a freak athlete, I mean, he definitely was. Jaheim Bell, he played running back for South Carolina some last year, but he's actually a tight end, and he goes to FSU. So at running back, I mean, you're looking at maybe Mario Anderson, but they're saying that Darion Joyner has moved over from quarterback to play running back. So I'm not loving the run game situation for South Carolina. That seems to be an issue too. Now, maybe they'll have success on what I feel like is a pretty weak Tar Heel defense. So maybe these two things, it's nothing to worry about in this game. But offensive line is definitely something we're going to have to watch with South Carolina going forward, because there are a lot of questions that are yet to be answered early on in this season. At wide receiver, Josh Vann is gone. Juice Wells is back, but he's banged up right now. We're going to have to wait and see as far as game time how he's able to contribute to this game. They pulled him out of camp, but if I'm head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, I'm pulling him out of camp too and saying, hey, we're not risking this. We already know what we got in you, and you're ready to go. So let's put you on the sideline and put you in the glass case and make sure nothing happens to you between now and week 1. And maybe that's what they've done. We're going to have to see. I'm looking for a guy named Eddie Lewis. He came in from Memphis. They're saying he's going to start at wide receiver. I'm looking to see what kind of year he's going to have. He's a pretty freaky athlete, pretty shifty guy. Xavier Liggett is back and will play. I think the wide receiver room looks pretty good when healthy. Definitely going to want to have Antoine Juice Wells healthy for this game. As I noted earlier, Jaheim Bell, he left out. Austin Stogner went to Oklahoma. But you pick up Trey Knox from Arkansas, but yet again, he's banged up coming out of camp. So I don't think that we'll see Trey Knox this weekend. Maybe wrong on that. Maybe he plays some. Maybe he's gotten better. But from what I'm gathering, it doesn't seem like we're going to see him this weekend. Joshua Simon is in from Western Kentucky. Neil Elksness is in from Florida also. Those are a couple of tight ends that maybe we'll see Elksness or Simon come in and play some tight end. We don't know much about these guys, so we're just going to have to wait and see. There's nothing to analyze if these guys haven't played a lot, right? So you lost Jordan Birch to Oregon. Gilbert Edmond left to FSU. So you pick up Jaron Willis as a 4-star edge from Ole Miss. Jadius Greer is a defensive tackle. He came in from Syracuse. So going to be shuffling some things around as far as outside linebacker and defensive tackle there. Just going to be having to find some answers. It seems like you've got a little bit of talent there, but Jordan Birch was a big loss. Somebody who didn't really pan out, but he was obviously very talented. Maybe there's a complacency thing there with him, or he's not progressing. I'm not sure, but we're going to see how he does at Oregon. And in the secondary, they lose Cam Smith and Darius Rush to the NFL. So going to need some underclassmen to step up there. Those are two big losses in the secondary. So, with all that being said, I like North Carolina here, and I'm going to take North Carolina with the 2.5 points. Um, this just seems like too good of an offense, and I like Drake May too much to. And with all the injuries that South Carolina has, taken on in the last in the last few weeks and throughout camp, I just feel like North Carolina is ready to run the ball. They'll probably run the ball a little bit better, and I think it's going to be hard for South Carolina to establish the run. The over under is 64.5 on that. I could see that going under, and I can see it going over. So I'm not touching that bad boy. But I'm taking North Carolina and the 2.5 on that one. Yeah, West Virginia, Penn State. Penn State's 20.5. I don't have a play here, but that's going to be a really good game. I'm super excited to see that one. West Virginia and Neil Brown. Neil Brown's on the hot seat. There ain't no secret about that. And after a few losses in a row, they'll be trying to figure out how to get the money to buy this guy out. They're getting sick of it in Morgantown. So going to be interesting to see there. I'm ready to see Penn State and Drew Aller there. That's going to be very, very interesting must-watch TV, especially for all the Penn State fans. And hearing a lot about Penn State maybe making the playoff. So we'll have to just wait and see on that. Haven't been able to get past their other Big Two opponents in the Big Ten. So we'll just have to wait and see. LSU and Florida State, I don't have a play on this one right here, but I think that LSU is a much more talented team than Florida State as far as high school recruiting goes. Florida State has hit the transfer portal hard, and I feel like they've picked up some really good players in the transfer portal. So, with that being said, are we going to see for the first time ever a team with around 40% blue chip high school athletes in Florida State? Are we going to see them be able to take on one of the big boys in LSU? Because LSU is got a higher percentage than that, and the pool that they recruit from there in Louisiana is just notoriously freaky athletes and great football players. I mean, it is what it is. Florida State is one of the Louisiana is one of the biggest hotbeds that there is for recruiting, and there's no other big school down there in Louisiana. Everybody from there seems to be a Tigers fan, and the way they recruit, I believe in those athletes. Now, what I think is going to keep this game close, LSU has patched together a secondary, and I'm worried about it. I am worried about it. I think if there was a chance for somebody to blow somebody out, I feel like it could be Florida State blowing LSU out. And I think it would surprise everybody. Well, not everybody. It wouldn't surprise Florida State fans, but I think it would surprise a lot of people, probably at least half of the betting public. I don't think that that's going to be the case. Vegas obviously doesn't think so, but blowouts do happen. And I don't like LSU secondary. I really don't. And they've visited the transfer portal to patch that thing up. Have lost Dallas Turner. It sounds like he came back to practice, but it sounds like they got some culture issues going on there too. That could possibly be another distraction. So something to keep an eye on, no doubt. I think LSU's offensive line will be a lot better this year. Their wide receivers are sick. One of the best wide receiver groups in the nation. One of the deepest. Malik Neighbors, I'm looking for him to have a big game. Jalen Daniels, I can't wait to see him run the football. That's going to be exciting. We'll see how Jared Verse and that defense can handle him. And the problem with Florida State last year was they just had like 3 games where it's like the defense just flat out didn't show up. And they were talented last year too. So they add pieces. If I was to bet this game, I would probably take LSU in the 2.5. I think they can win by a field goal. But this is going to be a real good one. And my final game of the week, my final best bet of the week is going to be in the Monday night game. This is on Labor Day at 8:05 p.m. You got Clemson and Duke. I believe this is a neutral site game somewhere in like Raleigh, North Carolina or something like that. Or maybe it's at Duke. It may actually be at Duke. Anyway, Duke is a 13-point dog. and that's who I'm going to take here. I'm going to take the plus 13. Duke has got a really deep defensive line. They've got 9 guys that are ready to rotate. Mike Elko is a hell of a coach. I always respected his defenses whenever he was at Texas A&M. Seemed like he had a top 10 defense every single year, and he's been there for, I think, 3. This will be his 3rd year now at Duke. And him mixed with Riley Leonard as a quarterback. It's just, this is a super rugged and physical team. I don't think Clemson is going to have their feet on the ground quite yet. They brought in Leonard, not Leonard. They brought in Riley to come in and be the offensive coordinator from TCU. I don't think they're going to be at 100% capacity on offense quite yet, and they don't have any wide receivers that's just really scare anybody. I don't think either. They do have a good running game. I think the offensive line is going to be good. I think the defense will be a serviceable Clemson defense. I don't think it's going to be dominant like we saw, in those championship years that were not so long ago. But I think it'll definitely be a serviceable defense. I don't think Clemson's ever going to have a bad defense or anything like that. But I could see this game coming in the under. I could see Klubnik struggling a little bit, maybe trying to figure out this new offense and figure out who's going to be a wide receiver 1, and maybe just be content with trying to run the ball and get first downs and move the sticks. So I could see the under hitting, but I'm taking Duke in the plus 13. I feel like Duke has a good chance to win this game. I really do. I feel like this is a good matchup for them. This could be definitely the upset of the week, and I look forward to this game. This is going to be a fun one, and I'm just excited that college football's back. I mean, this is the longest off season in all of sports is college football, and it is back, baby. It's time. The talking's done. This video is going to be posted up today, and I'm so glad that the talking's done because I'm ready to come back and do a full-on recap of week 1 with you guys, and I'm going to have some reaction videos throughout the weekend, and I hope that everybody's going to have a really good holiday weekend. Wanted to go through a couple things real quick. Mason last week had went over his lineup. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get these pulled up here. So Mason did a college football daily fantasy lineup last week and actually won some money. He finished, as you can see, like 1,104th, but put in a couple bucks and ended up winning $6, and had some good bets on here. He had Zachariah Branch last week, and Zachariah Branch is going to be an absolute freak. You'll never get Branch at that price again. He got him at 4,700. There's absolutely no way you're ever going to get him that cheap ever again. The secret's out, cat's out of the bag. Zachariah Branch is a bad dude. As soon as I seen him with that number 1 jersey, I'm like, oh crap, that's a ball player right there. Marshawn Lloyd, I expect his numbers to come up throughout the year. That was kind of probably one of the ones that hurt him the most on that lineup. But we're going to play some of these lineups every week, and I've got Mason's lineup for this week. As you can see, we got Quinn Ewers at quarterback at 7,700, making a big investment there. And Baxter is a freshman running back that we've been hearing about at Texas that is probably going to be getting the start, and it seems like they're super excited about him. So Mason's drafted him at a really good deal at 5,500. You got Edwards, the running back of Michigan. Enough said there. I mean, he's a bad dude. Julian Fleming is wide receiver at Ohio State. It's actually a fair deal for Julian Fleming. He probably going to be targeted a pretty decent amount. Adonai Mitchell, who's a wide receiver, he was a transfer from Georgia. He's now at Texas Longhorns. He'll be playing wide receiver for them, and Mason's drafted him. White, Squirrel White, wide receiver at Tennessee. I think that's a fair for him too. I expect him to have a real big game. And then Great House, who really shined in that game against Navy. He's a wide receiver. I believe he's a freshman. This is the first we've really seen of Great House. And he's a wide receiver at Notre Dame and got a pretty decent value on him. And then as the super flex there, you got Milton, quarterback at Tennessee. I think that's a really good. He's pretty high, though. Pretty daggum expensive there for Milton. So definitely going to need some return out of that. But we're going to go through this every Friday, just like I said. And I didn't even add that to the stream there. I'm sorry about that. We're going to add that right now, and we'll let you guys take a look. There's the lineup for this week. And here was the lineup. Oh, wrong way. And here was the lineup last week. As you can see, a winner right there. $2 he put in, $6 he got out. Not bad for a week 0 whenever you don't even know all these guys. Jade McGowan helped him out a lot too. He's a bad dude at Vanderbilt. But we're going to go through this every Friday, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope that everybody hits all your bets, and I hope that you enjoy this week 1 slate. It's going to be a great long weekend. I'm just absolutely so excited. Cannot wait to see the pads popping. Cannot wait to see my Georgia Bulldogs. I know everybody's ready to see their teams and see what they're made of this year. I don't even know if I'll be able to watch my Georgia Bulldogs because they're not playing nobody good. So I don't even know if it's on TV. So won't miss much, even if I can't see that. But I've got plenty of other college football to watch. I think I'm going to be just fine. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Best Bet segment of the First and Long College Football YouTube channel. And for all the people here, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. A lot of effort goes into this stuff. We don't make a dollar doing it. We're just enjoying ourselves. And this is what we do anyway. We talk football all the time anyway. We're bringing it to this platform so that we can share it with you guys, and you guys can talk to us back, and we can all be college football friends. And I really do appreciate all the support, and I would appreciate if you subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much, and enjoy your college football weekend.